Waiting for everyone. I'm here and it's 5:30. I've stuck to the time. We are punctual. That is the best part about it. So both of us are waiting, but we are going to wait for a few people to tune in before I start the introduction and I start the show. Nothing's changed. I'm still the same. I can see a few friends joining in. Thank you very much. Nice of you all. Loyalty is the biggest thing, I think. So thank you for joining in. Okay, I think we're ready. Good evening, everybody. Yet another episode of ShaliniSays WineShineQuarantine. And like I always say, this started as just some fun and frolic and, let's not talk on the phone and have meaningful conversations. Let's take them online and influence people through these conversations. Luckily, I've got some amazing friends who are super inspirational. So I've been able to bring them all to chat with me online rather than chat with me on a one-on-one on a phone call. So I'm grateful to them for that. Today, I have a very interesting guest from Monte Carlo, Monaco, Monte Carlo. She is a communications coach, a corporate trainer. She's been an MC for the TEDx conferences in Monte Carlo, which for me is a really big thing because I hope to be able to speak at one of them soon. And she's a singer. There's no end to the amount of things that do, but I also know you'd be interested in knowing that she also teaches at the International University of Monaco. This is about the introduction I'm going to give because I'm going to allow her to tell us some more, which is a mystery which she's keeping from us. Alicia, thank you so much for joining us today on this show. Welcome on ShaliniSays WineShineQuarantine.
Thank you so much, Shalini. It's lovely to be with you and have this opportunity to talk to you. I don't know if there's any other surprises in what you've said to introduce me. People will tell that I'm English. I do live in the south of France now, and I used to be a lawyer. I was a family lawyer, had my own law practice. And then I used to come backwards and forwards to the south of France. And when I did that, I would do everything other than the law, which doesn't mean that I behaved unlawfully, but I would do things like events. I formed my own events company, Absolutely Monte Carlo. And I also worked on events. I managed the red carpet for the Laureus World Sports Awards and the green room talent in the green room of the World Music Awards. And I started to teach at the International University of Monaco. And when I first started, I had one undergrad class. And now, about 6-7 years later, I teach undergrads, master's students and the MBAs. I also teach at the International School of Monaco, and I'm leading them in putting on the first ever TEDx youth event in Monaco, which we hope to do next year. It was scheduled for October, but obviously we've had to postpone it until February next year. And I train and teach corporate clients, and I now go all over the world actually to train people in communications, individuals as well as corporate clients.
Wow, that's amazing. I have to share a very interesting story since you shared with me that you're a lawyer. When we were growing up, and especially my time, now of course times have changed and there's so much more opportunity for children. But in my time when I was growing up, and I loved talking and I believed that I was it, and you got to hear me. And my parents would always say you should do law because my dad was an advocate in the Air Force. And I thought I was it because I spoke so well and I can become a lawyer. But I realized that in every family, if you talk too much, they said you can become a lawyer because there was only lawyers or doctors or engineers. That was about whether, the professions ended at our time. So I do understand where your ability to communicate so well and speak so well comes from, because obviously law is a profession where either you get it right or forget about it. So awesome, super awesome. So yes. Today's topic is basically public speaking and social etiquette for video calls, because they say that death is the second biggest fear and public speaking is called the first fear. So I want you to shed some light, like for the people who have this fear, can you shed some light on how to overcome the fear and also the tips to speak well in public?
Yes, yes. I mean, you're absolutely right. And if I could just go back to what you were saying, yes, for me, it was the natural progression, actually, because when you're a lawyer, in very many ways, you are a performer. So, and all business is show business. So it was a natural progression into training and teaching in public speaking and communication. And you're absolutely right that it is one of the major fears in life. So the first thing that I would say is that it's never about you. It's about your audience. And straight away, if you think of that, it takes the onus off of you. So you don't have to think about, oh my God, you know, I'm so nervous, I'm so shy. It's not about you. It's about your audience. It's about how you want them to think, to feel, to do or believe. So if you think about when you watch somebody speak, you don't want to be feeling really uncomfortable. You don't want to feel embarrassed. You don't want to feel, oh my God, you know, I hope that person stops talking because they're obviously so shy and they're so nervous. So if you think how you want your audience to feel, and you want them to feel comfortable, you want them to feel engaged, you want them to feel that they want to listen to you, then straight away, you're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about them, and that takes off the nerves. If you do feel nervous and you get shaky, one thing that I tell all of my students is to clench everything very, very tightly. Clench everything tightly. So your arms, your legs, your bum, everything tightly. Clench, 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 and then release. Clench it very tightly and then release. And it calms you down. It stops you from shaking. And then you can go on and talk and feel that you are in control and in command.
I like that tip. I'm going to use that one. Sorry, please go ahead.
No, the great thing about actually clench and release is that nobody knows that you're doing it. So, you know, it helps you, it helps calm everything down for you. Nobody knows that you're doing it. You might find as well that your mouth gets dry. I don't know if you experience that at all, Shalini, but if you do, if you very gently bite the inside of your cheek, very, very gently, I don't want to inflict any pain. We don't want to draw blood. But if you do that, immediately it releases saliva in your mouth. If you don't want to do that because you feel a bit afeared of actually causing pain, you can very quickly run your tongue around the front of your teeth. Now, I've just exaggerated that to show you, but if you actually do it, if you do it and you do it very quickly, nobody will notice. And immediately, again, you've got saliva in your mouth. It's also about breathing, actually. You mentioned about, you know, giving some tips to be able to control the nerves. A lot of time when we do get nervous and we get anxious, we forget to breathe. And so it's about being able to breathe from the stomach, not from up in the chest, because if you breathe from up in the chest, you're going to get stressed. You won't get enough power. So I like to think of it as that you are inflating a balloon when you take a breath, inflating a balloon in your stomach. And then as you speak, the balloon deflates. And that's going to give you power. And if you do an exercise where you breathe in for 7, so you inflate the balloon in your stomach for 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you let it out for 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You do that a few times, it gets you into breathing and it gets you into the pattern of breathing. So it's very important that we don't forget to breathe.
Wow, that's amazing. Is that where the term 7-Eleven came from, I'm wondering?
Yeah. I think it was, yes, yeah. I always say, you know, that it's the 7-11 exercise for breathing, and it's not a shop.
Yeah. You won't believe it, but I actually used to have the fear of public speaking. Because in Indian schools, it was not, now it is, but it was not a very popular concept for everybody to stand up there and make a presentation. So it used to be those few students who were good, who would go for debates, and they were the ones who would make the presentations, and the others just remained mere mortals in school. So I always had the fear of public speaking, funnily, till I reached a point when I said that I have to face the fear. And when I started, I would just take the mic at a friend's birthday and say like 2 lines just to get the confidence that I can do it, which is how I built it up. But friends would say, hey, don't worry about it, just go and speak impromptu. I said, it takes me 3 weeks to write an impromptu speech. So really, let's take it easy on me.
I love that because, you know, the most spontaneous looking presentations have been really well prepared. So actually you were on the right track.
Thank you very much. See, I just needed you to validate me. Now I think I'm ready to do this. So my second question to you would be that, the circumstances changed. And there was a time when people used to say, hey, I'm camera shy. They didn't want to get on the camera or get their pictures clicked, and they'd kind of shy away from it. But today, that's the work culture. And even video calling is camera shy story. People are kind of uncomfortable, and also they're feeling like somebody's intruding in their space. So there's various emotions in video calling, and I think they're not getting the hang of the video calling etiquette, as we call it. I want you to share some tips on that as well, because I saw you come on board today, and I was like, here's somebody who knows exactly what to do. So please share with the audience, Alicia.
I will. I mean, it is so current. We have all been forced in so many ways now to be on camera and to be online. For myself, I was just starting my course of public speaking for the undergrads at the International University of Monaco. And I had one session with them in person, and then lockdown came and everything had to go online. So that was the same for all of the professors at the university, as well as myself. And it was overwhelming. It was a great shock. I had personally not done the university training online, and suddenly I had to master the university platform and get to grips with that, and put my course, which was very much in person, as you can imagine, public speaking, communication skills, very much in person and present. It all had to be transferred to being online. It was a massive and steep learning curve for me. So I really identify wholeheartedly with people who have now have to work online and do Zoom meetings or do Google Meets, whatever platform that it is. So I empathize and I understand because I've had to do it myself. I think that one of the most important things that you have to know is that in any presentation, it's still a conversation. And I think that people forget that, even if they're doing it in person as well. And when I say that it's a conversation, you'll say to me, but it's a very one-sided conversation. And that's true. But at the same time, it is a conversation. You are still speaking with people. It doesn't matter if it's one person. It doesn't matter if it's 100 people or 100,000. So what you have to do is to engage with them in the same way that you would if you were talking one-on-one in person. So how do you achieve that? Well, if you think when you're having a conversation, you look someone in the eye, don't you? And if you don't look them in the eye, they think, well, why are you looking over my shoulder? Why aren't they focusing on me? Are they untrustworthy? Are they not interested in me? So you have to achieve that effect of engaging. How we do that on camera is to look into the camera.
That's right.
So don't look at the screen. Don't look all around. Don't look off here. Don't look up there. You can see as soon as I look down as well, you've lost me. I've lost you. Keep looking at the camera. Engage, engage, engage. So if you do that, that's going to stand you in very, very good stead, and you're going to be well ahead. Also, it's very important that your background is good so that there's no distractions. Again, when you're having a conversation, you don't want to be distracted by looking at somebody and focusing on them. So when you talk to someone, you don't want there to be distracting mannerisms. Hands. Italians speak with their hands. All of my Italian students have a great difficulty actually controlling their hands, because Italians, actually speak with their hands. It's a whole separate language, which actually my students have taught me, and I really appreciate. But we don't want any distractions. And it's the same with the background. So if it's too busy at the back, people are going to be focusing on that rather than focusing on you. So try to keep the background neutral, and also have the lighting in behind you. In front of you, not behind you. In front of you, because if it's behind you, it's going to cast a shadow. It will blur you out. So it's really presenting you in the best light possible, and not having any distractions so that people focus on you. And similarly, you can focus on them too. So engage, no distractions, not with your hands, not with your body. Don't move about too much, as soon as you're doing that. Try not to look down. So if you've got notes, if you're in a meeting, try to have your notes behind the camera if possible, or at least to the side and at the same level as the camera. And you need to have the camera at eye level or slightly above eye level. We don't want to be looking up your nose. It's not pretty. I'm sure that people do have very pretty noses, but actually it's not pretty when you're on camera. We don't want to look up your nose. And similarly, we don't want to see the top of your head, particularly during lockdown when everyone has got roots which need dyeing.
I love that. I have to tell you, there's not very many students in the Indian students in the International University of Monaco, but Indians also talk with their hands. So our hands are constantly moving. It's not just the Italians. And, it's funny. I told my whole family, I said, this is a very important call. I've been doing this every day, but I've not been that stressed out about the video. But today I changed location. I said, if I'm going to be talking video calling etiquette, I better get mine right, So important because it's hard. There's working from home, trying to find a space where there's no noise and getting the lighting right and getting nobody to enter when you're talking. It's like been a task with so many of us in the house working at home.
Shalini, again, I totally empathize. I mean, it's been the same for me. I had to do videos for training and for training my students, not only at the school and the university, but also my private students and corporations. So, of course, yes, I'm at home as well. And so I've had, there's the bookshelf behind me in the other room, which has photos of all the family. And, and I have said on the videos, don't do as I'm doing. But this is a very good example of what not to do. And sometimes, you can learn from mistakes.
Yeah. So
actually, a lot of the time you learn from mistakes.
Yes, I changed the same setting. So I had family photos as well in all my videos before this, if you go to them. But today I said, no, I'm sitting with somebody who's definitely going to notice that I've got family photos behind me, which is not. So today I have some art, which is still okay, better than family photos. But I live in my mother's house in India, and it is impossible to even find a white wall. I'm like, everywhere there's paintings and art. And I love you, Mom, but really? So I guess This is just for the audience to understand that there are limitations, but we have to work within those limitations and see how it works. If you get 5 out of 6 right, then that's good. Good to go.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Another thing as well, actually, is to not to wear clothes that are going to again be a distraction. So, for example, don't wear checks, don't wear stripes. Because they will cause distortion on the screen. So try to wear something kind of plain, and also to wear blue and pastel colours. I notice you're wearing black, aren't you?
I would have a black wardrobe. That's colour.
Well, you look very good. Now, normally I would say not to wear black because it's draining, but you've got a lovely skin and you've got a lovely skin tone as well. So actually it looks very good. But for the most part, I would say avoid white, because that's going to be very draining, particularly as well if you are against a white background. You're going to look like a sheet, and we certainly don't want that. Most of the time, the colours that are good on screen are blues, greens. Not green if you're going to be against a green backdrop as well. There's green screens, so we don't want to kind of merge into the screen. Pastel colours, really good. Not checks, not stripes. And to make sure as well that your framing is beautiful. You're right in the centre of the screen there, and that's what we want to achieve too. And that there's a little bit of space between you and the roof of the camera, but not too much. If I kind of come down in my chair now, that's not as effective as how I was sitting when I started. So, and yes, for most people, it's not going to be perfect. And you know what? That's okay. And don't be hard on yourselves too. People have been very, very hard on themselves during this time in a lot of respects, not only about public speaking or communicating. They've been hard on themselves because they've thought, I should be achieving, I should be doing. But don't be hard on yourself. It's all about learning, and we learn as we go along, and we do learn by our mistakes. So, it's okay not to be perfect.
That's awesome. But, I don't know if you've seen this video of this. There's been a WhatsApp that's been going around of this gentleman who's on a Zoom call, and then he thinks he's disconnected, and he gets up and he's wearing shorts with his shirt and tie on top. So do remember to log out before you decide to get up. Even today, when I walked in to my daughter's room before the interview, and she says, "Mom, you look weird." I said, "Why?" She said, "Because you're dressed up only from the top. You're wearing shorts." I said, "Yeah, because I won't get up to my sign out." So I'm dressed up for a video call for sure. But
it's a very good tip. Very good tip. And also, actually, when you're on your laptops and you are on a video conferencing call or a webinar, anything, try to keep your screen free as well, because it might be that at some point they'll want to see your screen and they'll say, "Can we share screens?" And then you've got all messages going on where you're saying to your friend, "God, this is boring," or "Let me out," or whatever, or "I don't understand a word they're saying." So just be very careful what's on your screens as well.
So I do have messages on the side of my screen. In fact, one of my friends, Amit, is saying that the 7-Eleven that you're talking about, we have Baba Ramdev, who teaches yoga. He's our guru here in India, and he teaches you Kapal Bharti with the 7-Eleven breathing technique. So he's mentioned that on the messages on the side.
Oh,
yes.
Thank you. How interesting. Yes.
We have a friend of yours, Nick, who has mentioned what a good singer you are. So I'm wondering if I should just break away from the script and tell you to just sing 2 lines for us and break this discussion for a minute.
Well, that's very kind of whoever mentioned that. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you that the theme of my teaching and training is Bruno Mars, 24 Karat Magic. So it's 24 karat magic in the air. So, and it's 24 karat magic, because I always say that when you look at a magician, you say, how do they do it when they do their magic tricks? And what I do in my training is to help you, when you present online or in person, that people say, how do you do it? And that you produce the magic. So 24 karat magic.
I love that. That was so amazing. That was super, super. I have one question, which is, you teach communications, and what is happening right now under the circumstances is that we're all stuck together. People believe stuck. I'm very happy to be with my family, but there's a lot of people that are feeling stuck in the situation, maybe because they're thinking ahead and not doing so well in their businesses, and just the claustrophobia of being together with family. I feel that despite being together, there is a communication gap. I want you to share something related to communication for the people who are not communicating within their families, forget anything else.
Wow. Well, it's just so important that you actually take the time to take the time. And so I think that you must take the time to actually sit down with each other and talk. Express how you feel. Don't bottle it up. Don't go into that corner and actually withdraw. Take the time to talk to each other. This is a massive opportunity for us all to actually communicate with each other and to learn together and to grow together. And so take that opportunity, speak to each other. Really make a point of doing that and doing things together where you can be involved and you are involved and interacting in ways that maybe you haven't done before. I always say that maybe for my younger students, to see if they are learning and taking in what I'm teaching, to get them to produce the communication on their terms. So, for example, to do a TikTok video, so that way they are showing me what they've learnt and they're doing it in a way that they find pleasurable. Maybe doing something on their YouTube channels. So many of my students have got YouTube channels. They've got Instagram, of course. So produce something that they produce in ways that they like to produce, so that way you're interacting and being involved, so that it's a pleasure for the recipient, and it's also a pleasure for you to be learning what they like to do. Take things out of the fridge and make a smoothie and you all have to eat it or drink it. Do things together, interact. I just think that it's so important that we do take this time to actually communicate with each other, express ourselves, interact, and get involved in different ways, pleasurable ways. And it's fun.
That is so nice. That is so lovely. I think everybody needs to hear that. All the people that are feeling this, claustrophobia together, do things together. And this TikTok video, I love the idea. I think it's so fun to do it. I've been trying to do it as well. Also, the other thing, we all believe that there's no physical contact with our friends, and that kissing on the cheek and hugging, etc., has gone away. So my little tip to the audience would be that, even video calls release oxytocin. So the people who think that they're just picking up a phone call and talking to their friend and they're feeling frustrated, if they were to actually do a video call with their friend, they still release the same hormone of hugging them, and you get oxytocin. Yes. So that is a tip that I want to give the audience as well. Alicia, before we sign off, I want you to, so you are on a global platform, because I know there's a lot of your audience that is watching you. Of course, a lot of our friends from Monte Carlo have tuned in to hear us. And there's a lot of my friends from India who are listening as well. So I want you to give out a global message to people, something special.
I think that what I would say is, don't be afraid. It really is. It isn't something to be afraid of, and that you can do it, because all you are doing is sharing wonderful you, and it's your opportunity to do that. So share wonderful you and do it, because it's wonderful for us to share with you and to learn and grow with you. So don't be afraid. Take it as an opportunity to share wonderful you.
Oh, that is so awesome. That is super, super awesome. Thank you so much for being on this show. And I want to, on what you said, I want to share is that fear has two connotations, forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. So I think it's our time to face the fear. And like she said, Alicia, thank you so much. It has been absolutely amazing talking to you. I can go on for a long time, as I believe the audience can keep listening to us. So we will do this one more time for everybody. But for today, I'm so grateful to have you on the show.
Thank you. I am so grateful to have had the chance to be with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Keep watching Shalini Says Wine Shine Quarantine. Until tomorrow, a big kiss from Alicia and me. Take care.